Welcome to Yeukai Business Show, UK's premier business show where we feature business thought leaders, high achievers, and industry experts. Today's episode is brought to you by World Outsourcing Solutions Limited, a company that specializes in helping executive business owners with virtual assistant services and business growth systems. Here's your host, Yeukai Ketchadori.
Hello, and welcome back to another very special episode. And with me today is an expert that I truly admire. In fact, when I was reading her profile, I thought to myself, I need to engage in Karen's services. And I know I will do at some point, because what Karen talks about and has been helping business owners around the world today is something that I desperately need. And I think anybody in our community who is serious about getting better results need to listen to Karen. So I'm truly honored to have Karen here for the first time on the show. Karen Brown, thank you so much for joining us here on the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
You have done a tremendous amount of work since you left corporate America, and you've done almost 20,000 hours of coaching, which is outstanding. What is the one thing, Karen, that surprised you most about human behavior, about reaching tremendous results?
Actually, two things that surprised me were, number one, that we are truly capable of anything that we can dream up. If we can imagine it, we are capable of it. It really is just a matter of summoning the power of our unconscious mind around it through behavioral patterns, which we'll talk about in a minute. And the second thing that surprised me is how many business leaders and owners are out there that struggle with the same thing and want exponential results.
Amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get those extraordinary exponential results, stay tuned. And you're about to discover what it makes the 3% win, compared to the 97% of business owners who are trying to get the same thing. I was checking out Karen's website, as you do in preparation of these things. And so some of the testimonials that are there, how people's lives have been truly, truly transformed. Now, a little bit about Karen. I'm going to give a little bit of introduction there, if you don't mind, Karen. And then you fill in the blanks where I leave it. Now, Karen is the founder and the CEO of Exponential Results. She draws on 30 years of success as a corporate executive with over 20,000 hours of senior executive coaching experience, which is outstanding. And Karen has discovered the key to greater performance and effectiveness. And if you're a leader, you want to discover what that is. Of course, Karen, you've got an interesting background, how you ended up discovering these things. Would you very briefly share with everybody in our audience and those that are here together today, perhaps for the first time, how you got started on the journey of helping others achieve those outstanding results?
Yeah. Like a lot of what turned out to be great things in life, I fell into it. So right. What happened was, over 25 years ago, when I was an up-and-coming leader in the corporate world, I was promoted to my highest level of incompetence, shall we say, which was figuring out, yeah, we've heard this before, and it was figuring out how to elevate my team's performance. And keep in mind, audience, that this was 25 years ago. So this was before leadership coaching was a thing, business coaching was a thing, before there were a lot of leadership training classes, before leadership was really much more than a innate idea. Oh, you're either born a leader or you're not a leader. That's really where it was back then. So I had been freshly promoted, and I really didn't know how to elevate my team's performance, to bring out the potential of all of my team members to perform at a high level. And so what I did is I do what fascinates me, which is human behavior. And I started asking team members about their behavior. What causes you to do this? What causes you not to do this, or to decide not to do something? What gets you out of bed every morning to come in and do this work with us? And what I discovered was astounding. What I was finding and uncovering were people's motivations. And even beneath their motivations is their behavioral patterns. And to my fascination, what I did worked really well by getting to know them and understand what made them tick and to unearth their behavior. It also started to make them more self-aware of what behavior drove them and didn't. So then together we started just exploring these behaviors and these concepts, which is really what they felt like at the time. And sort of like we were able to just look at them under a microscope and just examine them free of emotion, free of judgment, and just examine what was. And it worked like gangbusters. Team members felt really free and empowered and energized. And I quickly realized that my role was to continue to facilitate that and then to get out of their way, to basically be like a blocker in football. That's American football, sorry. Not UK football. Yeah, and that worked really well also. So much so that it made my job so much easier. It was as if I had tuned into the leverage power of elevating team performance and finding our best performance. That caused me to continue to rise up the corporate ladder until I developed this insatiable appetite to understand what it actually was that I was doing. Yeah. So then I went and got educated. I discovered neuroscience, and that is where behavioral patterns lie, where they come from, that explains them and how they work. And it was like a million light bulbs went off in my head all at once. And I thought, okay, this is where human performance is at. And this is really what I want to spend the rest of my career doing. And I want to become an expert.
Yeah, amazing. One of the things that you mentioned earlier on, when we're talking is about, a lot of leadership training focused on the tactical aspect of change. But you have discovered that the subconscious thing that happens underneath truly are the things that drive change. Would you explore that for our listeners today?
Yes. So how that works is, I'm going to simplify this so that I don't turn into a royal science geek on you, because I can do that. And so think of it in two ways, your conscious mind and your unconscious mind. And the conscious mind is, say, what you can see above the surface of an iceberg sticking out of the ocean. And your unconscious mind is everything that you cannot see below the surface. Now, here's the interesting part. 99.4% of everything we do is driven by unconscious thoughts, not conscious thoughts. So that's why when I saw this and the power of behavioral patterns and the fact that they come from, they're driven by, they're born in and repeated through our unconscious mind, spoke volumes to me as to why I had seen many, many leaders that had gone through what I'll call traditional business coaching, business leadership coaching, that training, that kind of thing. And it's all tactical, meaning it all speaks to the conscious mind only. And if you think of it this way, behavioral patterns are the things which underpin our conscious thoughts and our conscious actions. There's always a why we're doing something or why we're not doing something. Well, those are the behavioral patterns that underpin those thoughts.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I find this so fascinating. I know Bill is listening in our community today and is looking to find a way to get to those outstanding results, the goals. With the knowledge you have that there is these unconscious activities happening there, where should they start from? Maybe that may be a good place to start making those changes.
Excellent question. Get a journal. That's what I would suggest first. And it can be a digital journal. You could keep it on your phone. It can be a paper journal, whatever system works best for you. The point is to start becoming aware of and jotting down what's driving your thoughts, because those are then the behavioral patterns that are at play, and those are what you can change if you want to. It's actually very simple and straightforward to change. That's not to confuse it with being easy. Okay, it is some work, but the point there is just start jotting down what's happening and what you feel about it, and maybe your thought about what's happening, or why you're doing what you're doing, why you're doing something the way you're doing it, or why you're not doing something that you say that you want to do. Right? Oftentimes, the reasons or the behavioral patterns of why you're not doing something that you said you want to, or that you really feel like you want to, reveal the most. So start jotting those things down. Okay. Then take a second pass at it and make another heading, which is, what are my thought patterns? And then look back at your previous list of what you wrote down, and it will be really easy to pick out the behavioral patterns, because a behavioral pattern is basically this: something that you do over and over and over, expecting a specific result. So if you notice the common themes, the common threads, things that you keep doing over and over, or maybe these are thoughts that you've had over and over, and behaviors that you have carried out over and over for years, maybe even for decades, and never understood why you weren't creating the results that you desired. Or maybe it's been a much shorter period of time than that, because in working in behavioral patterns in your unconscious brain works much faster, exponentially faster than trying to do something consciously in a tactical way. So it could be that maybe you've been in business for a year or a couple of months, and you've hit a brick wall and you're not sure why. Okay, we'll do the same exercise, and those same common patterns, those same common themes are going to show up. Then write those down. And then those are the behavioral patterns that we can work on. And I'll tell you how to change those in a second.
Amazing. I love that. I once had a quotation that, how you do anything is how you do everything. If you figure out how you do it effectively, you're probably going to become effective in other areas. So by identifying what, like, you're training everybody to do, that, finding out why you're doing what you're going to be doing, you might as well change every other aspect of your life. So I love that exercise that you've just mentioned on there. And maybe, there's one thing, Karen, that we often talk about on the show here, that as a business owner, you need to take some time out and focus on you, focus on what's going on with you. And I'm glad that you pointed that out without us, talking about previously, because it, solidifies the whole concept of becoming self-aware of what is going on in you, what is going on around you, and how you feel about that, and how you are responding, so that you can sort of get out of your own head and begin to observe, so you can change what needs to be changed. So I appreciate that. Let's perhaps dive in to talk about how do you then go ahead and make these significant changes that I know everybody wants to know about.
Yes, this is the real juicy bit, right? All right.
Right.
So it's a 3-step process, and jot this down.
Yeah.
3-step process. The first step is you've got to become aware of the pattern you're running and identify it. So identify the pattern. So from the list you just made, that's where you identify the pattern. Okay.
Yeah.
Second
You
step.
got that?
Yeah. Second step.
Yes.
This is the really fun part. Second step is you've got to catch yourself when you are running that old pattern. Okay. So you need to come up with a mechanism to interrupt running that old pattern. Okay. And really all it is awareness, right? So maybe now we developed a proprietary portal for clients to do this, that the system will actually reach out to clients every day and ask them how they're doing in changing a specific behavioral pattern. You can replicate the same thing with an alarm on your phone, and then maybe keep a spreadsheet of every time you run the pattern, You then notice that you're running it, and then you interrupt it. And instead of running that old pattern, you run a new one instead.
Okay.
Okay. And the third step is, what is the pattern that you want to now run, the new pattern that will create the result that you desire?
Amazing.
So if you look at those side by side, basically write down the behavioral pattern that you're currently running that's not getting you the desired result. Then it could be as simple as the opposite of that pattern, or a different version, or a modification of that pattern. Maybe it's a higher level, higher version of that pattern that is the new pattern that is going to directly align or be able to produce that result that you're going for. Okay. So step one, identify and become aware of the pattern. Step two, what's the new pattern you want to run? Then step three, interrupt and run the new pattern. And for those that are already thinking ahead, because I know this is a really bright, smart, fast group, this does not take as long as a habit to change. There's a lot of data out there that says it takes at least 66 days to change a habit. That's probably true, because you are changing a habit in your conscious mind. Now, remember, the conscious mind is super slow, actually. If you think about it, analogous as a Razor scooter to a SpaceX rocket ship. That's a literal difference in speed and processing volume between your conscious mind, that's the Razor scooter, and a SpaceX rocket ship, which is your unconscious mind. And what you're doing when you change a habit is you're just using your Razor scooter to change it. That's why it takes 66 days and you feel like you're white knuckling it the whole time, because that is what you're doing. Whereas the behavioral pattern change process I just laid out utilizes your unconscious mind and the way that it works in behavioral patterns. It doesn't take 66 days to change this pattern. A lot of times we can change it, the bulk of it, in a week. If you're working on it every single day, it can happen as quickly as a week, and maybe 2 to fully ingrain it. And maybe if it's a really pervasive, long-standing, over several decades kind of pattern, maybe it'll take a month, but that's the slowest I've seen.
Wow, this gives me a lot of hope, and I know a lot of people who are listening, that gives them a hope, because there are certain things, perhaps as business owners and even in general, that we want to change. And once you know you've got the power to change that, it is within grasp. It gives you that desire to go and make it happen and not settle for the result that you're getting. I really love that. And I know there will be people in our audience that would love to ask questions or even go ahead and work with you. Where can they find you?
They can go to yourexponentialresults.com. That's YOUR, like yours and mine, yourexponentialresults.com. That's the website, and you can book an appointment for a conversation directly with me there.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. And if you're joining us in the community, maybe for the first time, there will be a link in there, and also the recording of this conversation we've just had with Karen Brown, so that you can listen to this over and over and over again, like we always do, and believe that the more you listen to it, the more you get new information from it. It truly is amazing. Karen, we want to respect your time being with us here. And so thank you very much for taking your time to be with us and the community today.
Thank you very much for having me. Delightful.
It is incredible, absolutely incredible. I took some notes for myself, and I know a lot of people in our community, those present and those later on, will benefit from this as well. Once again, here's the website that you want to write down if you're taking notes. It is yourexponentialresults.com, and you'll be able to book a session directly with Karen over the next few days or even years to come. Once again, thank you for being here, Karen, and everybody as well.
Thank you.
Awesome. And before I actually leave here, I just remember, Jamie, do we have any questions from those that are here? I beg your pardon here, Karen. We may have questions. I think it'll be good if we've got any questions that we could answer right away. Do we have any questions there? Guys, you're free to put it in the chat. Okay, we want to finish on the top of the hour here. If no questions, please ask the question in the group, in the community, and hopefully Karen will be able to join us in the community at some point in future. We'll be able to assist you with that. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, live well, live with passion. Know that the best is truly, truly yet to come. And goodbye for now.
Thank you for listening to Yeukai Business Show. We will be back to bring you more episodes with success stories and advice straight from the experts. Want more? Check out www.yeukai.businessshow.com. Get your free trial of our virtual assistant service today. Just visit www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Quote WOS18 or send us an email at support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com.